typically do not buy health insurance. We then regret it 10 years later, but that's the fact. Is our healthcare perfect? Okay, our healthcare system is not perfect. There's things we can do. It's certainly not nationalizing it. The president, when he talked to the medical community, they said, Mr. President, please put a cap on frivolous lawsuits. We have so few private practitioners in our communities because of the outrageous cost of insurance for malpractice. He could have easily done that. That would have dramatically dropped the cost, so those 30 million people who don't have insurance could now afford a little more. Let's go a step further. We have that. Doing things right now, if you have insurance in the state of Ohio and you want to move to West Virginia, you can't take your insurance across state lines. You need to get insurance in West Virginia. There are some states that have insurance providers that cover 80% of the state. If we put down the state lines and we allow them to compete with each other, you will naturally reduce the cost of health care. Again, issue 3 is simple. People I talk to, 90% are in favor. It's a non-issue. What we need to do is make sure issue 2 passes. In talking with the governor and Speaker Batchelder, some of the other reforms that they have planned for the state of Ohio is workman's compensation. There are a lot of things the governor plans to do to get Ohio on the right track, but if we fail at issue 2, how then are we going to get people to say, we also need to do this if we can't pass 2? To do the other things that the governor needs to do to get Ohio on the back track, it starts with issue 2. And that's why we need to pass it. And so at the end of the day, you've heard Mr. Eklund talk about all the key points of why this is good for Ohio. It's a good bill for Ohio. We've seen good results out of Wisconsin. We'll see it out of Ohio. So support issue 2 and 3.
Okay, we'll take 3 questions. Yes.
I have somebody from my church that her daughter is on Medicaid, and she's moved to Ohio because to be with her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And can that not be used in Ohio? It's from another state that she had the Medicaid. That's a big issue with her. Her mother had cancer of the breast and lost both breasts. Now
Okay.
she's having her daughter go through this.
I'm not sure on Medicaid.
You're not sure?
I know in terms of purchasing your regular, Medicaid is a federal program, so there's probably more wiggle room in what you can do with it in terms of state to state. But in terms of purchasing your own personal, non-government related health care,
Yeah,
your Blue Cross, your Blue Shield, you know, that cannot be transferred from state to state.
Okay.
Again, like he said, I'm not going to tell you what I don't know. I will tell you what I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that one, because it's a federal program.
Check with the state?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Another question? In the back? Yes.
If issue 3 fails, and the Supreme Court finds that it's unconstitutional, what happens then?
Okay. If issue 3 fails, but the Supreme Court still finds it unconstitutional, there's a couple things here. What issue 3 is going to do in terms of a state, for a state of Ohio, it's going to prevent things that we see in Romney Care. Romney Care was not a federal initiative. It started with the governor, with Mitt Romney, in that state. What this bill will do will prevent, I'm not even going to call it case of care because I don't want to do that, but a similar Mitt Romney Care for the state of Ohio, this bill will prevent it. In case 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, someone said, oh, we should do that, we should nationalize health care just for the state. This law would prevent that. The Supreme Court, that one, what's going to happen is when this passes, and there's 26 other states, and this is the other way that we're connected with the other states. Like someone had mentioned with Wisconsin about the unions watching us. That's absolutely correct. Wisconsin passed their bill, even though it's a watered-down version. We have our version. If we pass issue 2, this is going to domino affect the rest of the state because it makes sense for America. On issue 3, we pass this. We're still waiting. We're going to be waiting with the state Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court. Constitutionally, that's where this bill has its foothold, about the federal government forcing a private citizen to purchase a specific product. We have a foothold there. Now, if they come back and say what issue 3 is unconstitutional, obviously that's going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, like the other 26 states, and they're going to make a final ruling. I can't predict to you how the Supreme Court justices are going to vote. At the end of the day, it will fall on them. This issue is a small issue because there's only so much we can do with the entire Obamacare program, but it's going to be tough. If they come back and they say it's unconstitutional, there will certainly be other lawsuits that are going to come up that's going to look at this issue from a different perspective. If I had to bet, right now Ohio is fine, but at the end of the day, it's hard to predict what our Supreme Court justices are going to do, but they're going to have one of the final says. I saw a hand, yes.
Please include in all your talks that the insurance companies want Obamacare to succeed because it's a guaranteed lock for more revenue to them.
Yeah.
That sort of never gets talked about.
Yeah. It's definitely a huge issue. And here's the other thing we need to think about. The argument is, oh, we have so many uninsured Americans, and this will take care of them, and I'm tired of paying. One of the problems we have with the healthcare system is preventative care and not being enough. We have people who are not covered. They go to the emergency room and they spend $50 on some Tylenol that the ER gives them. This drives up the cost. The people say, well, they're already being paid for because our insurance costs are going up. All the arguments to say why we need the nationalized health care are not valid arguments. What we need to do, obviously, is reform health care. The two things I mentioned before about cap on frivolous lawsuits, interstate competition, more preventative care. But these are things that, as he mentioned before, as a private citizen, if you nationalize it, you take away your vote to say how we need to make the plan better. Instead, it's going to come up to bureaucracies, health insurance industries, working with them, not in the best interest of you, but in their best interest and their bottom line. That's why 3 is important. Because this keeps the say in your household of what's best for you. Obviously, we need to reform our healthcare system, but it does not start with a nationalized cookie-cutter program from the federal government.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Bill is going to be available after the meeting as well for questions. And at this time, Greg, where are you, Greg? Here you are. Greg's got a brief presentation on Central Committee. This is something that's important for us in making a difference in Lake County. So,
Yeah, I'm just.
yeah, if you put it down a little bit lower, I think that's where you guys have been doing it. It seems to work pretty well.